Good day everyone, I'm Krista Jean Sinipomuseno from BTL Ed 2C. Corporation is a form of business operation that declares the business as a separate or legal entity guided by a group of officers known as a board of directors. So a corporate structure is perhaps the most advantageous way to start a business because the corporation exists as a separate entity. So, a corporation is an organization, usually a group of people or a company authorized by the state to act as a single entity and recognized as such as in law for certain purposes. Early incorporated entities were established by charter. Most jurisdictions now allow the creation of new corporations through registration. The creation of a corporation involves a legal process called incorporation, where legal documents containing the primary purpose of the business, name and location, and the number of shares of types of stock issued are drafted. The process of incorporation gives the business entity a distinct feature that protects its owner from being personally liable in the event of a lawsuit or legal claim. How do corporations work? A corporation is required to name a board of directors before it can commence operation, and the members of the board of directors are elected by the shareholders during the annual general meeting. Each shareholder is entitled to one vote per share, and they are not required to take part in the day-to-day running of the corporation. However, shareholders are eligible to be elected as a member of the board of directors or executive officers of the corporation. The board of directors comprises a group of individuals who are elected to represent shareholders. They are tasked with making decisions on major issues affecting the shareholders, and they also create policies to guide the management and daily operations of the corporation. The elected members of the board of directors owe a duty of care to the shareholders, and they must act in the best interest of the shareholders and the corporation. So now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of corporation? So advantages. First, separate legal entity. Independent from its owners and considered a legal entity that may conduct business, own properties, enter into binding contracts, borrow money, and sue and be sued and pay taxes. Second, unlimited life. Stockholders, shareholders, are members of the owners of a corporation, and it is managed by a board of directors. So their death or inability to perform their duties does not affect the continuity of this legal entity. Only changes in the company's charter will enable it to either be extended or liquidated. Third one is limited liability. Company owners are only liable for the amount they invested. Creditors and lenders have no claim to the owner's personal asset for payments owned by the shareholders. Easy transfer of ownership shares. So publicly held corporations do not require approval from other stockholders to sell the stocks or shares of the individual owners. Stock or shares can be easily traded in the market, regardless of their volume. Then, competent management. Investors or owners may not directly handle day-to-day business operations. They vote for the board of directors who eventually hire a professional management team. Source of capital and last is corporations can source fund from selling stocks and issuing bonds. Then now, disadvantages. First is incorporation cost. It is costlier to go through the process of incorporation than to form a sole proprietorship or partnership. Double taxation. Two taxes are remitted from the corporation earnings and from payments individuals to shareholders. Then documentation. Aside from the incorporation documents, companies must file annual reports and tax returns, as well as maintain accounting records license, and other important documents. So how does these companies help the country's economy? So business is extremely important to a country's economy. Why? Because businesses provide both goods and service and jobs. So business are also the means by which many people get their jobs. Business create jobs opportunities because they need people to produce and sell their goods and services to the consumer.